Have you ever had one of those aha moments where things just like, they make sense to me now? I absolutely love those. And this is what is called a spiritual awakening.
I love this topic. It's exciting.
So today we're going to dive right into the 5 stages of spiritual awakening so that it's like handing you a roadmap of where you've been, where you are right now, and where you're going. Makes things much easier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you are going through a spiritual awakening, you're going through these hills and valleys and all those little different things. But it's only bringing you back to home, to the parts of you that make sense, to the parts of you that you're yearning for consciously or subconsciously. And that's got to be exciting.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, coming home within yourself so you just feel like settled and like, yeah, this is me. Like I feel good being in my skin. I can really enjoy my life because I know who I am and I know what I want to do.
And there's a level of peace in that too.
Complete
And
level of peace.
that's really where people want to be, in that no matter what's happening around you, things are just like okay.
Yeah. And the gold in this is because you're sitting more in a level of peace and happiness and just a pure love, you get better relationships. You find more and more aligned work to do, better friendships. You feel healthier and more vibrant and more alive. Like all the things that we really truly desire start falling into place because you do this work and follow this call to step into a spiritual
Right.
awakening.
Imagine just being happy, like truly being happy. None of this faking it till you make it bullshit. Like really, truly happy and at peace with your life and yourself.
Right.
That's a spiritual awakening for sure, because you're able to tap into everything that you know is your birthright.
Exactly. Very well said. So this is like stepping outside of the box of the life that you've created right now. I mean, it might be a really good life, but okay, here's step 1. Conformity and crisis is the first stage here. It might be a really good life and you might have a level of satisfaction of what you've created. Maybe, you have a nice family and maybe a nice place to live, or you have good health, like whatever it is, but something's missing, or you feel empty. Or it's just like, what's the point? Like, is this it? I just go to work and hope I get to time to spend with people I love on nights and weekends before I go to bed and do it all over again. Like you're seeking something more.
Right. I mean, when we land in there, is just, we think that that's the only way to go. I think because we find ourselves being in the box, the social norm, if you will, of like doing these things and feeling this way or acting this way. No, when you feel unhappy or like you're settling, you definitely want to get out of that kind of a vibration, because it doesn't serve you. It really doesn't. That's when your soul is like, hello, we need more.
Yeah, you
Things
get that
need to change.
that pull towards growth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's triggering that awakening for people.
And most people ignore it.
Oh yeah, they do.
Unless you've been around the cycle a few times. So don't think these stages are like, baby to elderly and you're just going to progress through these different ages of things. This is a cycle that you're going to repeat over and over again as you evolve into new stages of yourself.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I remember a lot of the times where I heard the knock on the door and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that right now.
Not right now. I'm not ready. And that's
No.
okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
But
Just
the knocks
don't
will get
stay
louder.
there. Yeah, just don't stay there, because then a lot of other things will occur. You'll have, big stick moments.
Yeah.
And those can be a little heart-wrenching at times.
That's when you realize that ignorance is bliss is definitely not true.
No, not at all. Not when your soul is calling for change.
The more that you ignore those callings in this stage, the more you're staying in that conformity, you're staying in those programs. And I mean, it's the underlying fear that we might not even realize is there is hard, because you want to be the good person. You want to be successful. So yeah, I went to college and I got the good job and I got a promotion and I had the family and I have the picket fence. The version of success that we've been sold that doesn't fill our soul, because this is set up right now to try to suppress your soul. They don't want you in your true power. You want to be in your true power, but you're afraid to step outside of the norm because that's the safety and security that they've sold you. So how can you step into this being true to who you are and then realizing you're really a limitless being?
Yeah.
Like this is the whole stage of it kind of jumped ahead, but that's just kind of a vision of, you know, where you're going with this, where
Right.
that X on that map is.
Right. I mean, we're walking around with the I need to, or I have to, or those things, or I don't have a choice, or no, you do have a choice, and you need to do whatever feels good for you, and whatever is moving your soul, and definitely listening to that little thing inside of you that's saying, shit, something is missing, something needs to change, I need to heal. You need to listen to those parts of yourself because that is the only chatter you should be listening to. What's going on out here and the shoulda, woulda, couldas, those don't serve you in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly. And this is the vibration of things are happening to me. Like I'm doing my best to do all the things and fit in all the ways I've been taught to fit in and do everything and show up, and this is happening to me and that person did this to me. This is a lot of trying to gain control, maintain control, losing control, feeling out of control, feeling overwhelmed, hopeless. You start to get depressed. Like it's all this anxiety and everything's piling up on you. This is where things are happening to you. So blame and victim mentality.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel good. They're heavy, darker vibrations.
Right.
But when we come in and that's what we're taught, we're like, oh, this is happiness. So if I just keep moving up this chain of education and jobs and relationships, then I'll end up being happy because that's what I'm chasing. It's not what you're chasing. It's not. You're chasing in here, who you are and how you're bringing it out into this world. So you will hit a moment of crisis. Either just because it happens or because you keep ignoring the call. Moment of crisis might be a radical change in your life, like your house burns down, somebody dear and near to you passes away, a divorce, anything like that. These moments that happen that just change who we are because it shifts everything around us really rapidly.
Right. It's like a universal jolt, if you will.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
a timeline shift.
Yeah,
like,
that impact, that's saying, you know, you need to pay attention. You need to really shift things and honor where things have the possibility of going. The universe is giving you that little, you know, you need to move. Mm-hmm. Your soul is requiring things, and you have to stop ignoring it. It gets to the point where we tend to starve our soul.
Yes.
You know, and then it starts to yell at us and saying, it's like, hey, don't forget about me. We're here to do a job. We're here to experience something. We're here to learn. Please don't forget about me. That's when those things start to occur, so that you can wake the fuck up and say, okay, something needs to change.
Exactly. It will shove you onto a totally different timeline because you're not tapping into that soul calling at that point, and it just needs you to shift. Yeah. You're not here to be mediocre. Mediocre.
Yeah.
You're not here for that.
Yeah.
But a lot of us just settle.
Exactly. And it's not fun settling. I mean, if you take a moment to just pause and really sit with how you're feeling right now. Does it feel happy? Does it feel full? Does it feel balanced? And if it doesn't, then you're right there. You're right in that what do they call, crossroads, if you will, of deciding, am I going to continue to keep ignoring my soul and my wants and my needs, or am I going to change it? And if you decide not to change it, and that's when all this other stuff will come into play.
It's just going to keep getting harder and harder and harder.
They're going to keep pushing. It's going to get harder. It's going to be, you know, to the point where you're like, what the fuck?
Again, because the universe is responding to your energy. And your energy is deep in your soul is like, I'm not filled. I'm not really happy. I should be grateful for this because I have a lot of nice things, but I'm not there. And the universe is like, okay, then let's start heading there. And if you're not, timeline shift, here you go.
Yeah.
So that's where the crisis part comes into that first step. This is also where a dark night of the soul will happen, where your vision starts to crack, like, oh, this isn't all there is to life. I don't want this to be all there is to life. Or, oh, I was buying into that whole, separatism or division rhetoric, and it's not really true. I don't have to participate in that. I don't have to think that. I don't have to show up for that anymore. You start to just like crack all the old beliefs and all the old programs and start to move into stage 2, which is soul seeking, where you're looking for more, where you're looking for answers, because you know in your soul this can't be all that there is.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place, and it can kind of feel like a lonely place. To me, it felt like a lonely place. This is just like when you're starting to step out of that ego-based materialistic thing. Like, you're not judging your happiness based on the house and the kids and the job anymore. You're not judging on, how well you did at something, or, that ego type of thing, or holding on to fear, that whole trying to maintain control like the ego tries to do all the time. You're starting to let go of that a little bit and just like turn inward into yourself. And that's why it feels lonely also, because if you're not used to that, you're used to being out here with everybody else trying to participate and play this game, and everybody trying to win and not understanding why it's not happening. And then so when you come into here, it's like, oh, just me and all my 8 million personalities and thoughts going on in there, all battling each other head to head to head, kind of like out there.
Exactly. And a lot of us have that, but if I'm here, right? If I'm in here and then all that love and balance energy, and then I'm going out into a world where there's chaos, how is that going to work for me? Think of it like you're the eye of the storm. There is a lot of balance and peace right in the fucking middle of it. I remember when I came to the realization that I was in the midst of a spiritual awakening is when I finally saw the bullshit of government and elections. It snapped me right out of it.
And then that starts domino affecting into everything else, because if that's all the smoke and mirrors and I didn't realize, what else am I not realizing?
Right.
And you start to get, this is a curiosity place and a very big place of stepping into being brave.
Right.
And examining those old things.
Yeah, because I was so like, yeah, this is the way, and and I was really feeling a lot of self-righteousness, if you will. Yeah. And then I kind of like stepped back and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, that doesn't
like,
feel
how
loving.
Does this work?
It's not unity-based.
Nothing's making sense. It's not adding up, and yet I'm being this way, and it's just, that was kind of like my smack in the face, if you will. I was saying, okay, I need to step back and I really need to take a look at this. Is it making me feel good?
Right.
Are the words that are coming out of my mouth authentic? And all those things. And that's when I realized it's like,
oh, I'm waving the flag of do it this way because there's change. And then I'm like, wow, after decades, I haven't seen any change. So why am I waving that flag?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's where you start questioning. That's that curiosity piece we always talk about. Yeah. It's also where you shift away from, instead of this is all happening to me, into this is happening because of me. And you start taking responsibility for what you decide you want to believe in, what you decide to think, what you decide to speak, what you decide to do. You take responsibility. You take some control back in a way of like, I can control what goes on in here, because you start knowing that that's going to affect what's happening around me.
Right.
All right. Number 3, soul work. This is where you start to deep dive into everything, because you're starting to get some answers. Those old paradigms are cracking and you're shifting. And you're like, okay, what are my tools so I can build my new house? And you start to discover the different types of meditation, the breath work, shadow work. All of it. You start running into people that like you didn't even know were spiritual, or you didn't know meditated. Like, oh, you do this? Oh, okay. I just learned that. And then you start having all new different types of relationships with people around you, that this is your paradigm starting to shift. So if you continue to do this work and purposely move down this path and through this cycle over and over again, you can start creating, instead of waiting for that big stick world to blow up, to shift you. I want to give you a quick message before we get back to this episode. Unlock the secrets of your soul for free with Soul Notes. Say goodbye to feeling stuck and hello to the validation of your alignment. These weekly prompts are filled with reminders, gentle nudges, and sometimes a kick in the ass, all with love from your soul. Don't just take our word for it. Try Soul Notes for yourself and see the difference it can make in your life. Trust us, your soul and you will thank you. Just go to soulnote.org. That's SOULNOTE.org. Now back to our podcast.
I believe that we're from day one doing the soul work.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because I mean, you think about it. You come here
Pure.
You're pure. And then all these influences and all these things, and you get these habits and you get these impressions and you get all these things, and then when you reach a certain point in your life, you're like, okay, well that makes sense. That not so much. This doesn't feel good. That I like, and all these things. So then you're already in the process of doing all that soul work. You've been activated. And you start to get to the age where it's like, okay, I'm just not liking this shit. Mm-hmm. Something needs to change. And hopefully you take the measures to make those changes in your life, to shift the things you need to shift and heal the things you need to heal. Because that's the most important thing. Healing needs to be the number one thing you do, because of all the things that you've picked up along the way, all the experiences that have happened to you that you need to heal from. That's the process. But I really truly believe that we're already doing the work from the gate.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we come here, to experience this realm and how being a spiritual being in a physical body really feels.
Right. So meditation, like you said, is one of the number one thing, or prayer, whatever works for you, because it gives you that ability, not only just etherically, it really physically connects you to things as well. So being able to kind of maneuver through both worlds while you're in meditation kind of make things fall away, gives you a better understanding. And if you add yoga to it,
she has a thing with yoga.
Now you're physically doing something, that also shifts things. So you want to create a practice for yourself that's going to really work for you.
Right. And understand, the more you do things with a physical aspect of it, the more you have a body memory of it, and the easier it is to shift here. So like all the coaching work we do in our Evolve program that's on our website that helps actually walk you through all of these steps, all have an experiential piece of it, so that you have body memory, muscle memory of it. So it's a felt experience, not just I read this in a book and I thought about it and I meditated on it. So it's not just spiritual and mental. It's getting all the different aspects of you into it. Yeah. And if you're finding value in this, please like and subscribe so we can keep putting out more and more of this content. It's super important. And also, this is the stage where things are happening with you instead of to you and because of you. Now you're realizing, oh, things are happening with me, because as I'm shifting in here, I'm starting to see all this evidence of things shifting around me. Mm-hmm. I'm noticing the world different. I'm meeting different people. Like, okay, there's some reality in this shit. It's working. It's not just airy fairy, fluffy stuff. So I can just sit in light and ignore that there's all this darkness out there. This is sitting with all different parts of you, getting really introspective, and then when you're coming out of it, being super aware.
Yeah. I mean, we see it in our lives all the time. This is stuff that we've challenged, if you will, to see if it actually works. And it does.
It does. It does.
Let's take money, for example. Mm-hmm. Okay. We all want it. A lot of us need it, and all these things. And there are times that both of us sit in the contemplation of wealth, and we stick to that. We make it part of our meditation, part of our daily awareness, all these different things. And we do it for, X amount of days or whatever. And within 24 hours, usually at this point, within 24 hours, we see the changes. Money comes from wherever it's coming from, lands in our bank account, and all these things. So energetically, when you tap in fully, wholly, purely, it happens. It really, truly happens.
It does. There's just a big shift when you're sitting in like wealth, health, and peace consistently, not repeating the mantra bullshit like I am wealthy, I am healthy when you know you're sick. Like because this is the stage where the ego starts butting up against faith.
Yeah.
Because you've lived in the ego logical mind place for a long time. Now you're stepping into faith based, but your ego and your logical mind is like calling bullshit on everything. And it's screaming in the background like, no, that's not the way this world works. And then your spiritual side is like, that's the way it can work. And there is this just inner conflict of constant fighting. So it's just finding the rhythm of how to marry them per se into like a really strong partnership, a really strong team to move forward.
Yeah. One other example is the other day I was texting with my best friend, and I asked her how her day was going, and she gave me a laundry list of things because she was at work and all these things, and then she ended it with, but I'm proceeding with a beautiful smile on my face, and everything is good. And I'm like, wow, that's freaking awesome. She knows there's a lot going on outside of her. In her, there's a peace, and there's a love for what she's doing, and there's a respect and honoring within her for what the work that she's doing, that she was okay. It didn't matter what was going on around her. And I mean, she was in the midst of feeding, I think, about 100 people, in the center where she works. So it was a really cool thing. And that's an example of when you're good in here and you're doing your soul work and you're doing all the things and you're listening to your soul. That's what happens.
And notice the difference between that and the laundry list of everything that's going on and but I'm grateful I'm of the light at the end.
Right.
Because all the energy of the whole list, if that's where your like primary frequency is, and not just like she was doing it and acknowledging like this is what's happening around me, but I'm at peace. This is like a whole list of your frequency of this heavy vibe that you really don't like, and then tagging in the spiritual tagline at the end. It doesn't it doesn't trump all of that, and it doesn't balance it out. It's I would take it as a win that you're having an awareness that you should be in gratitude or you should be at peace, but you're not feeling it in here. Mm-hmm. So doing that inner work really helps you situate that feeling so that, you are being that eye of the storm and it's not just rocking you off the map.
Right.
All right. Number 4 is wisdom. This is where you begin to merge your two worlds. This is where you really know what the 3D world is like, and you know that wasn't fulfilling, and you're starting to get the fulfilling parts of the spiritual world, but you're on and off of it because you're like, oh yeah, that's it. And then you go hardline into that, and then suddenly it's not working, or it shifted things to a point, but not as far as you want it to be. So you're lost, and then you're found, and it's this whole up and down thing. And then you have the wisdom of like, oh, these two roads can just like merge into one path for me. Got it. And I can live as a spiritual being here. This is where you start to learn that you're like an infinite being and you're like limitless and have more power than you ever imagined, even though you're living in this finite body in this world.
This is when you put on your cape.
Yes.
Or I should say, when the cape gets put on you. Okay, because that's when your soul has said, okay, this is where we want to be. Mm-hmm. Okay, it doesn't matter what Sue, Pam, or whatever is doing. It doesn't matter the job that so-and-so just got or the promotion that so-and-so just got. It has to do with the fact that where you sit right now is all you need. And you're grateful and you're excited for so-and-so getting that promotion. You're excited to be in the happiness and the joy of that person's, what do they call that? Prosperity. Mm-hmm. Okay. Things like that. That's when you're really in that energy of wholeness. if you will. Okay, so I like to look at it as though you've just gained that cape and that superpower, because you're like, okay, I've arrived. This is
Right.
it, and it feels good, and like I'm doing this because that's what I feel in my
Yeah.
body. That's the kind of gesture you want to have, and you sit a little straighter. Your shoulders are back more, and you're like excited to see what unfolds in your life, because you've got everything you need to get through whatever it is life brings your way.
Exactly. And this is a great example of something that you can do physically. Well, a lot of our clients will have them do it like every day before they go out the door, or every time they go into the bathroom at work before they come out. You're striking your superhero pose, whatever that looks like to you. Just
Yeah.
that my super pose is, or, whatever it is, you do that and you feel that energy in your body. And then proceed with your day. Takes 2 seconds. It's a quick like anchor point into the energy you're looking for. And this frequency is things are happening through me. You know how, see how we've progressed from to me to now through me, because you are channeling this energy. You learned all your tools in the last step. I mean, you still learn more as you go, whatever. You pick things up, you put them down. But this is where you're really getting deeper into the work, because you're being. You don't have to do anymore. I mean,
Right.
you do what you need to do, like, drink water, brush your teeth, all that stuff. But this is where you're starting to be. You're starting to sit in the seat of your soul, that seat of your existence, your essence, that just feels like, yeah, this is me, and this is how I want to feel, and this is how I want to walk out in this world.
Yeah, it's a beautiful internal peace that multiplies everything and anything that you do.
Right. And you'll still have fear in this stage. You'll still have anger. You'll still, because a lot of people start questioning, like, but I still get angry, or I still, judge people. So how am I really this spiritual wise being? I'm in
You're
this
human.
wisdom stage.
That's the thing. You're human.
Right. Fear exists. Fear is
Yeah.
here. We're not spiritual bypassing this, that everything is love and light, and fear is only a construct of our mind. And there's real fear sitting anchored into our body, but we're viewing that now with compassion. We're not viewing it as something that I have to fix and I have to get rid of.
Right.
It's like a big shift in like how you're approaching yourself internally. Like, oh wow, I'm afraid because I don't know how I'm going to pay the mortgage next month. Whew, that's hard. Like, speak to yourself like you would a friend that was going through that.
Yeah.
Be supportive to
Empathy
yourself.
is key. Empathy is key. Because you will go through a lot of different things, but that's okay, because like I said, you're wearing your cape, you're in your knowing, you're in your power. You know that you can shift things in any direction you want. If it's money that is a problem, buckle down on your intentions when it comes to finances. If it's a new job you're looking for, buckle down there. We really identify exactly the kind of job you want that's going to make you happy, that's going to make your soul soar, which is very different than just going to a 9 to 5. Really get deliberate about the things that you are processing and going and wanting in your life. That's the difference. When you're in that balance and safe place in your soul, in your being, how you proceed in life changes completely. Not to say that life won't happen, like Tara said. It's how you react to it that will change.
It doesn't rock your boat when the waters get all like turbulent. You're just like,
You're not flapping in the wind anymore.
No.
If whatever situation comes up, and you would normally like, oh my God, and have all this weird energy behind it. You're like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I have to do it. That's the difference.
right. And it's not running on frantic energy anymore.
No.
It's like something's happening, crisis. I need to address it. I'm going to take 5 minutes and center myself. I'm going to take 2 seconds, if that's all I have, to center myself while I'm on my way to whatever the emergency is. So you could just handle it. So this is the final stage where you're coming into this homecoming that we talked about at the beginning. You feel a sense of home, completeness, and fullness within yourself. This is when you've surrendered to like, this world's going to be what this world is, and what I want to shift, I have to feel it in here. And that's how it just oozes out of you. When you're compassionate and have empathy with yourself, when you're kind and you're loving to yourself, that's just your aura. And that's just what starts affecting everybody around you.
Yeah. Welcome. You've landed in yourself.
You have. So, are you ready to answer the call to your spiritual awakening again and again and again and keep coming home to yourself? All right.
Be kind. Peace.
Peace.